This video is the result of continuing discussions with leaders in the firefighting community. Until the original release, firefighters were on their own when responding to calls about smoking trailers. Discussions since that original focused on the witness video of the Georgia explosion and realization that a potential threat remains. Hinged panel doors have the potential for pressure in a trailer to overcome the leverage at the handle. Therefore, this revision should be used, and downloads of previous versions should be deleted. Opening the doors of a smoking cargo or intermodal container can introduce oxygen to a potentially flammable or explosive environment. This video provides some ideas on how to mitigate those risks to responders. With the ever-increasing quantities of lithium-ion batteries being carried as cargo in box trailers, there is a corresponding increase in the number of trailers which we hear about exploding. Witnesses said that the roof of this trailer reached the height of the lights, which are 70 feet above the ground. The 104 55-gallon drums being carried as cargo contained end-of-life lithium-ion batteries being sent to a recycling center. Fortunately, nobody was in the truck or near enough to be hurt. Firefighters in Livermore, Pleasanton, California found smoke coming from the edges of the door on this FedEx trailer. When attempting to vent near the front of the trailer with a circular saw, the door exploded from the rear end. Fortunately, again, nobody was hurt or in the way. One firefighter was injured when this box truck carrying lithium-ion batteries exploded in Loudoun, Virginia in 2021. And the problems are not confined to truck trailers. This intermodal container, double stacked on a rail car, was carrying drums of lithium-ion batteries, again being sent for recycling. Some of the drums are visible at the right end. The steel container was in the suburbs of Houston, Texas, when an explosion ripped it apart. But the problem of exploding trailers is not confined to what we would normally think of as hazardous material carriers. For example, this shipping container had a boat inside. The explosion, which blew off the rear doors and opened the side, illustrates why working in close to any container is a threat. So-called reefer units are self-contained freezers with a refrigeration unit at the front. They are insulated with a foam that is typically yellow. This one exploded in 2012 in New Jersey, injuring 7 firefighters. It was only carrying a load of tangerines. This one, on September 24, 2023 in Texas, was carrying pumpkins. Brake and tire fires are a relatively common problem in tractor-trailer units of all types. This reefer unit was carrying a load of frozen turkey in North Carolina when the rear tires caught fire. The driver had pulled over and was attempting to use a fire extinguisher. The fire apparently ignited the insulating foam, filling the box with explosive gas. The side of the trailer self-ventilated, and the explosion put the driver in the hospital. This is yet another example about why you should keep distance between yourself and the box, even if it's just a tire fire. While newer energy-efficient trailers use hydrocarbon-based refrigerants, the refrigerant in older trailers is frequently called R290 or R600. We better know those as propane and isobutane. In relative terms, the amount of propane contained in a typical 20-pound barbecue tank has the explosive force of about 220 pounds of TNT. On September 4, 2024, in Greene County, Georgia, Battalion Chief Chris Eddy was killed when he went to open the rear door of a refrigerated trailer. Far from seeming to be hazardous material, this reefer unit was carrying a load of frozen chicken. As with the New Jersey case in 2012 involving tangerines, the post-accident investigation found that the refrigerant and foam insulation had caught fire to fill the box with explosive gas. A witness video shows that 4 minutes after arrival, and working with his crew, the battalion chief moved toward the rear door of the trailer. The trailer exploded the instant that he unlocked and moved the handle. These disturbing images show several key aspects to keep in mind when approaching a smoking cargo trailer. First, the white arrows show the handle barely above the slot, indicating the trailer was likely pressurized, causing the handle to pop out into his hand the instant it came up far enough. There was indeed enough pressure that the shadow across the door shows it visibly bent as it was opening. Second is that the immediate burst and fireball in the vicinity of the doors would have not been survivable. Third, deformation of the left wall of the trailer shows the amount of pressure the detonation immediately created when the door opened and oxygen entered. Finally, note how the left door was torn into large, heavy fragments that flew aft at head height. Here's a case in which these 3 firefighters are facing the rear doors of a smoking trailer, unaware of what is inside. And they are not the only ones at risk. The door on the Livermore Pleasanton, California FedEx truck was blown straight aft. Likewise, the door in the Georgia case went straight aft, in fragments. The fire truck sitting behind them is too close, and the right side of the truck is still straight behind the trailer. If one or both of the doors on this explodes, it will not stop while going through the firefighters. The debris will enter the windshield of the truck, injuring or killing the front seat occupants. So what can be done, and how can you avoid this view of the trailer doors, knowing that there is a potentially explosive mixture of gas on the other side? The first step is to pull out the emergency response guidebook and figure out what you have. Right on page 1, it says, "Resist rushing in." Do you see an explosive placard or other hazardous material label on the trailer? If not, and you do not know what is inside the trailer, the flowchart will bring you down to pages 10 to 15. These contain identification charts for the various types of road trailers and intermodal containers. Note that if there is hazardous material inside of the trailer, the outside of the trailer does not need to be marked. This was the case with the Livermore Pleasanton FedEx truck, where only the drums or other hazardous materials inside was marked. You wouldn't know until the doors are opened. The orange pages contain guide number 111 for a mixed load of unidentified cargo. And even though this looks like an innocent white box, under potential hazards on guide number 111, it points out that the contents may react violently or explosively with the introduction of oxygen. Lower on the page, it also points out that SCBA must be worn. Working with cargo trailers is a daily occurrence for many fire departments, and while explosions are rare, rather than walking up with this view of the trailer, there are 3 things to keep in mind. First off, just like with a car, you never want to come in straight from the rear or either side. Always approach and remain on a 45-degree diagonal and far enough away to not be hit by a door if it swings out suddenly. Second, Keep any apparatus on a diagonal and as far as possible from sitting straight behind the trailer. Third is that while working with the doors, we never want to be behind them. If not to either side, stay below the level of the floor. Your first challenge may simply be a padlock, so make sure to have a pair of bolt cutters handy. What follows are the steps to open a hinged panel door. As shown here with the yellow rope, the first is to attach a line to pull the door open from the right. Keep your head below the floor level to pass the line through either the anchor point or the chain itself, and then take the line off diagonally. The next step will be coming in from the left with a second line, shown here in blue. Run the line from the left between the top two rungs of a ladder with enough slack to reach the ground. The reason the rope goes between the top rungs is so that the ladder doesn't become a projectile if the worst happens. Place the top of the ladder against the right side of the rod on the back of the door. Try it in various ways. It may work better against the other rod. This way, when the line is pulled, the ladder should not slide off of the door. Bring the line from the left down now so that you can tie 3 half hitches to the handle. Unlock the trailer, but do not lift the handle at this point. If the trailer is pressurized and the handle is lifted, it may pop out in your hand. This would cause air to enter and an explosion to occur, as apparently took place in Georgia. This is the point where everybody should back away on the left and right diagonals as far as possible. As a minimum, note that a standard box trailer is 53 feet long, so using the trailer in front of you makes an easy reference. Now that everybody is clear and off to the sides, the blue line from the left can be used to pull the handle upward to unlatch the door. Realize that it is fairly common for the handles to need a lot of force to open even in the best of times, so don't be surprised if it does not open easily and 2 people are needed to pull the rope. We use the 2 lines rather than 1 because usually the doors are not as easy or free to open. If needed, the yellow line is used to pull the door itself. Now that we know how to open a hinged panel door, let's take a look at the more common roll-up doors. You will again need the 2 lines and ladder. It is highly recommended to use carabiners or a spring clip on each of these lines. One method is to come in from the right side, again dropping the line between the top 2 rungs of the ladder. Then run it through the handle and clip the spring clip back onto the line or tie a knot. Because it can keep the firefighter below floor level, another and possibly safer method is to tie the line or attach the spring clip to the pull-down strap of the door. Now raise the ladder up and keep it tight against the side frame of the door, but do not pull the rope to raise the door yet. The next step is to release the catch that holds the handle without letting the handle rotate. Once the catch is released, you can use half hitches or, again, a spring clip as shown here. What we are trying to avoid is having the handle rotate so that the door pops up an inch and introduces oxygen to the trailer. With the line attached to the handle, now the firefighter can back away to the left side of the trailer as far as possible to pull the handle open. The reason for placing the ladder at the side of the door is to keep it from sliding off the back of the trailer. Especially with tired springs and older trailers, when the rope is pulled, it may take 2 people. This slide shows the 2 methods. Getting the ladder placement right takes a bit of finesse, so it is important to practice these techniques before you need to use them on the road. The real world is an unforgiving place, so don't become the next line of duty injury. Being able to go home is more important than having a trailer burn down. Remember that letting the trailer burn to the ground is a viable option.